Okay, we have a pick a blunt truth reflection. You're going to want to use your own intuition to decide if one or more of these has a message for you. Sorry, I just found my hair on my desk. And it's going to be pick one, pick two, pick three. Let's get started. Okay, pick one. I'm going to pull 3 tarot cards to see who you are being in this situation, whatever it may be. Your energy regarding this topic. More hair. I don't even know where that card went. Where did it go? Oh. Not sure where you're going. Maybe not really even caring about your reputation or succeeding necessarily. Because you are sort of focused on some loss. You may be in a mourning process. You may be withdrawn from the public eye at this time. You may be called into a time of rest or introspection. Thinking about where you've invested a lot of hope, energy, something like that. Let me just clarify a little bit. Yeah, like, however you're seeing the situation, it's through the eyes of loss, but you're also understanding that there may be another way to see it after some time, like looking for another way, trying to get the gold out of it, trying to see, like, if there's any way to recover it, maybe, like, or just recovering your own worth and self-esteem and things like that. You felt like you were really going somewhere. And now you're not even sure you'd know what to say when you got there. Something like that. You don't know quite if that's where you want to go. I don't know if you can hear the squeak of my body in my leather chair, but hopefully it's just not so loud and annoying. Just turn the volume down. 9 of Pentacles and the Page of Cups. Yeah, I feel like you maybe feel like you were naive in investing a lot, perhaps into either a passion of yours or something you felt like you loved doing, or someone that you loved, or the beginning of a love relationship type thing. I do kind of feel like it could have been a relationship, but it also could have been like a job or a business or some sort of endeavor that you thought would be much more successful. What I kind of want to say that I'm feeling is like there is some success from this. You did get something out of it, you know? And you won't really be able to rest in that until you honor all the ways you feel about the loss of it, about, you know, forgiving yourself and allowing for yourself to be accepting of the more naive, foolish part of you who was willing to go into something without knowing the outcome. And also forgiving of the part of you that expected a certain outcome naively, like foolishly. Because that's an important part of you that's willing to go forward into things. And sometimes that's what happens, where we'll only go forward if we're sure of the outcome. And then life has to kind of show us, like pull the rug out from under us and show us, hey, you're sure, but like why are you sure? Are you sure because you're feeding yourself a story and the sureness makes you feel safe enough to go forward? Well, guess what? Can't be sure. You know, like that wasn't what this was for in your life, kind of thing. So the time that you're spending in contemplation and self-analysis and self-comfort and presence with self is all a part of this now. And you have the stamina to put in a lot of effort towards something, right? You might need to rest because you feel like you didn't get the payoff, or you feel like you've put a lot into something without getting much out. But that same energy that you put into it when you thought it would be successful is the energy you'll now put into introspecting and asking yourself the questions of why, and getting to know yourself better. Like, why did I expect this to happen this way? Why did I want this outcome in the first place? Okay, I'm just going to pause us. I'll be right with us. Alright, pile one, pick one. There may be people needing your attention while you're trying to do this processing and grieving. So you might be even getting some practice with holding up your boundaries and realizing that you can't be the one to rescue and tend to everybody, right? I don't think you're going to do it unkindly or anything like that. So I'm just clearing. I ended up finding these little gems while I was talking, and I set them up while I was having the conversation I was having. And we will get right back into your reading just a moment here. I just wanted to do some Palo Santo to clear myself. Just so we don't mix in any other... Ouch. Just a little heat on the outside of that candle. Ouchie. But luckily I've got an iced coffee to put my finger on. Yummy iced coffee. Iced coffee, rather. I'm just holding my finger on the ice for a moment here. So how does it feel when I'm kind of pausing and taking my time with this reading? Does it feel like you want to rush through this part? You know what I mean? Because there's this feeling of like, you got to be with these parts of yourself as long as it takes. This isn't a hurry up and get through it kind of process you're in. See this rose? It just kind of moved over to touch this one. And I specifically set this rose up so that they wouldn't be touching. But this rose kind of just pushed into this one. So it's like... maybe you're just trying to rush through this part to get to something else. And this is saying, like, please take your time. Please give yourself the time you need to process through. Let's see what else. You are safe and protected at all times. So this is a process where you have guardian angels, guides, ancestors that are with you and want you to feel safe enough to process this, right? Because we heal in safe places. So you've got to create that container for yourself. Meaning, when you're not in the right container, you're going to feel uncomfortable, and that's because it's the what you need to notice that you're not in a safe place so that you can move into one. And this card is kind of saying, like, you are very good at keeping yourself safe. You will not put yourself in an unsafe situation. You already assess the situation and know whether or not this is a safe place to rest in or to, like, retreat to or express in. You feel like you have your own back. Patience. Oh yeah, see? It's just an urgence to have patience and know that this leads to limitless possibilities, right? Because you're going to see things differently. And what's coming to mind is this upgrade. Like, I personally have been going through this particular upgrade where my body has to go through changes that will allow me to embody higher versions and bigger awareness, right? Because, like, if I can't fit it into my physical dense body, which I can't with the old structure, my body has to change to a crystalline structure, like that sacred geometry. It's happening inside my cells so that I can integrate much higher frequencies, you know, and bigger awarenesses, and encompass both sides of a lot more things that I currently may view in duality, right? Because duality exists, but also the thing above duality would be like realizing that both things exist, right? So that's an expanded awareness point of view, and that happens on a lot of topics, like every topic. So this process that you're going through, like, maybe the emotional feelings are what makes you take the time to slow down and rest and withdraw, but it's also a process that your physical body actually needs in order to go through the changes, right? Because, like, your I want to say your brain stem, your nervous system heals in stillness. So if you're on the go all the time, your brain stem does not have the time to heal and to upgrade and to be the container that you need to be for the expanded awareness and the higher consciousness. So, you know, there may be times, I'm not saying that it's bad to eat certain foods, but there may be times where it's important to fast or to eat a cleaner diet. Let's see what these are. Rapunzel. It's like me still using my glasses here when I've asked my eyes to do the full healing. It's simply because my view is changing, and there's a physical correlation to that. And my body does not have the resources to do the changes at the same time restoring my eyesight. There are more important priorities in the restructuring of my body cells at this time. So yes, my vision will restore, but I'm having patience around it, right? Because it doesn't just happen at the snap of my fingers. My divine intelligence of my body has to orchestrate what order things happen in. You know, there's a bigger picture view. A spirited young woman with 70 feet of magical blonde hair. She escapes from her tower to discover who she really is. And it says tangled. So before she escaped from her tower, she was in her tower, stuck in her tower, right? And it's kind of like that for you, right? It's like, well, you won't step out to the next phase until you fully embody and be with the part of you that's in this phase, right? Like first she had to be stuck in order to want to escape. And then that whole process of doing so, both things, helped her know who she really is. Because all the skills and realizations and shedding of who she is not revealed to her who she is through the process that was challenging. Karaoke. When your jam comes on, the gloves come off. It's kind of like saying when you get into that flow state where you can lose track of time again, and where you're not like rushing, oh, my voice. When you're not rushing around to do things, but it's just like you've stepped into the flow of things. And it feels like harmony. It feels like this would be the next natural place to go, right? That is when you proceed forward. Because there is a lot here about proceeding forward. But it's also saying like patience. And I feel like the reason why they're kind of letting you know, yes, you will move forward, is because the part of you wants to do that now. And it's kind of just saying like, yes. It's like when I tell my kids, like when they're younger and they wanted something, and I would just be like, well, not now. Maybe later. Okay, then we got Wakanda, the most technologically advanced nation on Earth. This hidden African country is the world's main source of vibranium. Right, so you're stepping into a level of awareness that not a lot of people have accessed. You're advancing yourself, and it's a process. And this loss of what you were pursuing previously and what you thought should happen, it's what I got this message earlier today, and it was like what you were trying to achieve. You were trying to achieve within the old paradigm. The paradigm is dying. There's a new paradigm, and so why not build in that one instead? Right? Because even if you would have achieved this, it would fall with the old paradigm because it's built on old ways and old foundations. And this is just kind of saying, like, let's upgrade before you go all the way with this. Like, take that energy that you would have used to push through to finally achieve what you thought you wanted to achieve, and let's start building a foundation in that bigger picture view where there's an advanced sort of, I want to say technology, but I'm talking about spiritual technology. Okay. You have options. Celebrate, like this is like celebrate how far you've come. Because it's not that everything you went through and did to try to achieve your success was for nothing. There is value to be gleaned from it. Let's celebrate how far you've come. Maintain that growth mindset, which is like, there is a solution, and there's a solution for every challenge I face. And the reason why it's so important is because if you lose sight of the fact that there's a solution, then you will never allow yourself to line up with one. And don't just imagine that there's one solution. There's many solutions, right? Different solutions exist for one problem. And there's no reason to limit yourself. See, limitless possibilities, right? Because you might think, oh, I see that person get out of this situation that way, but that wouldn't work for me. And it's like, if it doesn't work for you, maybe that's by design, because you were meant to discover this other way that would suit people that are like you. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to follow in the footsteps of those who have traversed the same issues before us. Oh, look at this. That victory that you were working towards, like, you will have it. You will have the victory. Just not the way you thought. Just not maybe even in what you thought. There's something else for you to be victorious with. Okay? Maybe some level of fame associated with it. Recognition for sure. And I just want to say, like, those aren't the reasons you're doing it. And if you were doing it for those reasons before, that's why it had to crumble. Because even though you do feel safe, and even though you know how to stick up for yourself and have your own back and feel safe, that's not the reason why you want to achieve this. That's the old paradigm. That's building on fear. The reason that you want to have the victory that you're going to have is because it is who you are. It is what you're passionate about. It is what you enjoy doing. You know, it's what represents you, not what you needed to do to survive. You know? Okay. All right, pick one. Some advice. Abundance is your right. This is saying abundance is your right. Not that you have to work for it. Not that you have to slave over something that you hate doing. Not that you have to earn it or deserve it. It's your right. And one way that you can start appreciating abundance in your life is to look for the ways that you are already abundant. Do you have a lot of friends? Do you have the comfort of home? Do you have internet? Do you have electricity? Are you abundant in ideas? Are you abundant in nature? Where are you already experiencing abundance? And appreciate those things, focus on those things, and then you're in the vibration of abundance. And then any abundance that is your right is not held off by not being a match to your vibration. You have options, so you can try to rush things and maybe get some more pushback, or you can decide not to go in this direction, to try to building the other way. Like, it is up to you, but if you kind of look at it from a growth mindset and like understanding that abundance is your right, meaning you don't need to achieve it to survive, and that there are limitless possibilities, why would you choose one that required you to do something that you barely enjoy, that takes a lot of your time, and that keeps you maybe like coping with addictions and things like that in order to numb out the pains that you don't deal with while you're living in fear? It's like, this is like, go into the fear. You know, you have what it takes, and your victory is on the other side of that. And it's going to look different than what you expected. Okay, pick one. That's your reading. Remember, it's just information to reflect on, and I'm going to move on to pick two. I picked two. I'm going to pull some tarot cards to learn about your energy. might feel like a lot of work to become aware of something. Like, are you hiding some level of heartbreak from yourself? It's like your intuition is trying to tell you something. Maybe you're working hard to avoid it. Your intuition is trying to tell you something, but you're avoiding it. But the happiness that you want. This is one of those things where the ingredients that you're putting in to achieve a potential won't add up to the potential that you want. Your intuition is trying to teach you this. It's like you're ignoring your intuition. And I think it's because I think when you pay attention to what you're feeling, you know there's going to be something that hurts. So you're avoiding some pain and maybe trying to work diligently on some sort of success. And this is saying, like, that's not the recipe for that. It's not the recipe for that. You are really good at adapting. It's like you're like ducking and weaving to avoid this thing. Ignoring signs. You're just adapting to all the changes that are happening, and all these signs and symbols, you're just kind of like maybe telling yourself a different story about them. Okay, what else here? Let's look at this one later. Good friend, work together. There's someone you can work together here on this. Reconciliation, reunion. Dang. Maybe this is what you're getting a lot of signs about. You're supposed to be collaborating with somebody, and instead, maybe there was some sort of pain. Let's see. Depressed. Betrayal. There was a betrayal. Something that, like, some decision might have been made, like without much forethought, like as a way of adapting to something and avoiding something deeper, right? You quickly adapted, made a decision. It was a betrayal. And it's like life had to try to make you slow down so you could see it, because you weren't getting the message. You were actively avoiding any messages from your own intuition. Frenemies we've got. I mean, it is in reverse. I don't really take reversals from this deck, but let's keep in mind that it did come in reverse. Sometimes it takes a civil war to see who your real friends and enemies are. Maybe you saw this good friend as an enemy for some reason. Maybe you made an enemy out of a friend. Okay, this is interesting. Let me see what else we've got here. This one also in reverse, but we're not going to take it as, we're just going to note that it was. Phasing. When your body assumes an intangible state and can pass through cold or solid matter without harm. You've been ghosted. Oh, you ghosted somebody. Okay. You betrayed yourself. That's what you betrayed. Okay. You saw something through the lens of fear, through the lens of heartbreak that had not been healed yet. You saw something through the lens of heartbreak, and it was because your avoidance of this pain from heartbreak from the past that you ignored your intuition, and that you ended up walking away from or ghosting some sort of good friend, which was a betrayal to yourself. And if life has you kind of pulled back right now and depressed, where it feels like an uphill battle to keep up with the things that you used to do much more easily, it's because life is kind of saying, hey, you're in the wrong direction here. Turn back. That's what it's saying. That adaptability, like, let's use it now. And then we've got lightning. An electrical flash from a thundercloud. Shocking. When you realize this, it's like gonna hit you like a ton of bricks. Interesting saying that I'm using there. Yeah, it's just gonna kind of like come into your awareness, like, and just be like, whoa. And this is gonna flood you. Like, frenemies was in reverse, right? And it's kind of like, you saw it that way, but it wasn't that the truth. You were seeing it through the lens of your heartbreak. Because you weren't willing to feel your heartbreak, you projected it onto someone else and either made them feel it or acted like they were the cause of the discomfort you were feeling. Or just avoided them because you didn't want to risk feeling that way again. A flurkin. Alien creatures resembling cats. They have tentacles in their mouths and pocket dimensions in their stomachs. Imagine those hairballs. Interesting. This situation was very foreign to you. Like, I just don't think it was, like, in your repertoire to think that life would work this way, that you would have somebody to collaborate with. Maybe you're a very independent person. You're used to carrying the burdens alone, especially since that heartbreak. And, like, maybe you always imagined that there would be a success and a family or a community around you, but the ingredients that you put into it aren't going to make that fruitful. Like, put the energy and the efforts into allowing your heart to open, becoming the king. Look, we've got hugs. That feels nice. Maybe when something started to feel nice, you got scared. It activated that old wound in you, and then you acted in the same old way, which was pushing it away, which was running away from it. Maybe without even any words, just like, no thanks. You got triggered, and that happened unexpectedly as well. I don't think you expected to feel the way that you felt when it felt good. This is saying adapt with the reconciliation and reunion. Work together here. Understand your body is an advice that's coming through for you. So it's like saying there are clues within your body. Like, if you don't want to listen to the signs around you that are all kind of trying to get your attention, maybe songs, maybe animals getting your attention, maybe just like seeing the name of this good friend everywhere, or just like thinking of them often, or hearing people talk about them, being reminded of them through like always being brought to like the car they drive, or like what they do for a living, or their favorite color, if you know what it is, whatever it could be. Something is easy for you to ignore. And so now it's like saying, well, if you don't trust all that, like, what about your body? Because now you must be getting some symptoms. Maybe even besides depression, maybe there's some sort of ailment that's like manifesting now in order to slow you down. And it could be correlating to the emotion of heartbreak that has not been dealt with yet. But you are very intuitive. The impressions and feelings that you get are trustworthy. You know. It's just that you've been so scared to feel this pain that you haven't let yourself admit it. This isn't going to stop. I can remember, so one thing that I did in my journey was definitely became independent and didn't count on anyone. And I did this as a result of I realized I was a people pleaser, and I realized I was doing a lot for other people just to get their attention and love and care. And then I realized when I backed off and stopped doing things for so many people, they didn't really care, and they didn't contact me anymore. It was the only place I had in their life was to do those things for them. And so I didn't feel like I had anyone to count on or call upon or ask for help. And I didn't want to anyway. And I really withdrew within myself and became very independent and didn't want to ask for help. There was one person, my mother, I would ask for help if I needed it. And I felt okay about that. But even my siblings, I withdrew from asking for help from them too, for the most part, because I didn't want to burden them, because I realized, okay, well, what I'm healing from, they're probably having to heal from it too. I don't want to put more burdens on them. And other than that, I didn't want to be vulnerable enough for anyone to know I needed help, because my experiences in life had shown me that people would use that against me. And I felt too insecure to let people know that I needed something, right? And I remember when I started getting the message that I had to start asking for help. And I remember just crying and crying. And I'm reminded of it pretty deeply at this moment, but I hated that. And I was so mad at God because I just wanted to do anything but that. I did not want to ask anyone for help. It sounded awful. I didn't want to do it. And maybe you feel that way too. As I'm tapped in, it feels very I felt betrayed by life and God and everything to be expected to do that, because to me it was I would rather anything else than depend on someone else and work with somebody else and need somebody else to achieve what I wanted to achieve. I didn't want anyone else to get my credit for me achieving my things and things like that. But life kind of showed me it wasn't going to go away. I really needed to get over myself. And it was a process. It was a little bit over time that I would try letting someone in and then try letting someone in, and just slowly over time I was introduced to very gentle people. I'm feeling really emotional about this, which is interesting. I was shown over time just people I felt could build a rapport with me first, and then I could open up to them, and then I could trust them to be vulnerable with them. And it was hard. And it was just the right people, And I don't know, I guess I could just say I really feel for you. But that life does kind of want us to be in balance, right? And we are a humanity, a community of cells working together makes sense. Working together, even for a very logical person who's not been dealing in their emotions, it makes sense to network. It makes sense to work together. It makes sense to let other people contribute something that they're good at. You know? And when we've been taken advantage of, and when our weaknesses have been exploited, it doesn't feel safe. But we have to use our logical minds here too, because we know that not everybody is like that. This says it's a good friend. This is a good friend. And you know, have you ever noticed that, like, the people you're closest to, maybe in your family, you're more willing to show them your worst traits? You're more willing to lash out at the people you love most. And it's kind of like this, that's where you feel safe to show it kind of stuff. Like, you know, like I would say with my siblings and stuff, they've seen the worst of me, the absolute worst of me. And it's because they loved me. And it's because that those dark, shadowy, hurt parts of me felt most safe to come out there. You know? And I feel like there's something here where it's like, maybe you have treated this person in a way that you kind of like disrespected them or walked away from them or stopped answering their calls or something. And it is because on a deep level, you know, this is someone who is good, who will not hold it against you, and who will understand that this is a very painful, uncomfortable process that you're going through, right? Because like with my siblings, like we always come back together afterwards because we all know what made us. We all know what we went through. We all know the programming that we're up against. We all know that it's pretty natural for it to have to come out sometime, some way. And we all know that we're very intelligent and adaptable too, right? Like this is an important skill because like we won't keep doing the same dumb thing to each other. Like we do learn, you know? Alright, I'm just kind of feeling if there's anything else here. So you might want to look up the metaphysical correlation to any ailments that your body is experiencing, or just knowing that your gut feeling is something you can trust. If you know about human design, or if you're interested in looking into it, human design categorizes 5 different ways the human's energy works. And for different people, their energy works different ways, and that they can follow the authority within their energy. And that means that there are also a few different ways that humans can navigate Earth using their bodies. Now, for me, it's my emotions. My emotions, even though I've spent a period of time not being ruled by emotions and not listening to my emotions as a way to navigate, actually, what I've come to understand is my emotions is the authority for me. Like, once I allow myself to feel all the ways about a thing, then I can assess the situation from a bigger picture view. While other people, the sacral chakra, like that gut feeling, is their way of discerning in life. And for other people, it's yet different ways than those ways. So the human design can actually reveal your authority to you. So that there's a free calculator online. You look at your energy type, then you look at the authority and the strategy. So like, for instance, for me, a projector, my authority is emotional and my strategy is wait to be invited. And that's because I'm a projector. So other people will have different things, and you might want to look into yours to see how your body is working so that you can trust what it is that you're feeling and start navigating in a way that makes more sense for you, not for what you were taught, and not that's just like adaptable to the circumstances you find yourself in. But this is the equivalent of like taking up the reins of the front seat driver in your life, while knowing how to drive the car really well. Okay. Yeah, because if you were trusting that authority, then you would have been able to decipher between good friend and frenemy. And in your case, they were clouded. Okay? All right. So pick 2, very interesting. Remember, it's just information to reflect on. Just take what's helpful to you. And I'm going to move on to pick 3. Hi, pick 3. First, we're going to get some tarot to see what your energy is in this situation. Oops. Queen of Pentacles. The Moon. I've got these over here. Knight of Swords. Just going to clarify. I mean, what's coming to mind is abuse of power, but let's see. Yeah. I feel like, so first of all, I feel like when we get the Queen of Pentacles here and then the Magician reversed, it's like this is someone who wants to achieve at all costs their stability, their like high honor, holding themselves in high regard, feeling like they deserve everything, a little bit greedy, and closing their eyes to the suffering of others and what that means for others, willing to use black magic even. Then we've got the Moon here, which is not seeing clearly, in the shadows and things like that. And then we've got the Emperor on that. So it could be 2 people, but this is more saying about this Emperor here is clouded in his view. Yep. I mean, part of me wants to say, okay, just transcended the duality. It's okay. But paired with this queen who's willing to go into the dark side so readily. Then we've got strength in reverse, and it's like whatever you're calling strength isn't strength. We've got to see more about this. I know this is pretty blunt at this time. Let's see what you're really good at. Being grateful for all you're blessed with. So you do feel blessed. You do understand that you have a lot to be thankful for. Okay. Let's see if we can turn this all around. I don't know. Because like when I get this Emperor, I'm thinking like this isn't such a bad thing. Let me clarify this again. Oh, you might be going forward in the flow of things. Let me clarify this again. It's like you don't need strength to go forward. You don't want to abuse authority. Yeah, okay, okay. And this Emperor is fair. Then what about this Queen? So the masculine energy is actually very healthy. King and Queen of Wands. There's some sort of powerful relationship here. That's what this is. I just want to know about this Queen. Alright, here's what I want to say about it. Let me just clarify one more time. Because I want to say it's like this queen had to trek through the dark and the down under and the underworld in order to get to where she is. So she's very well aware of the dark side. It was a trek in order for you to come out balanced and very stable on the earth plane and have some level of success on the earth plane as well, which you are very grateful for. Yeah, isn't this interesting? So the initial thoughts and feelings I was getting was this is a very lower vibration. However, now I'm seeing it as a higher vibration. So I want to kind of like look at it in terms of both and see what this message is here, because I don't know if this is one of those readings where it's like there's some sort of untruth here, or if it's just so balanced that I can read both sides of it. Right? Let's see. Spiritual guidance. Celebration. Graveyards. It is in reverse, but we don't need to take it that way. Creepy places filled with tombstones and ghosts. They're kind of a dead end. So you've left some sort of difficulties from the past behind. Sorry, I had to tell that aunt who's boss. Museums, their history. An energy barrier that stops everything from getting in or out. Hope that doesn't include air. A force field. Trick or treating. Trick or treat, smell my feet, give me something good to eat. That's trickster energy here. Yeah, see, there's trickster energy here. And we know that the antidote to trickster energy is being okay with the unknown, which is how I decided to go forward into this reading, right? I said, I'm not sure what this is. I'm just going to go forward not knowing. All right. We'll get to the message here. We'll see what this is about eventually. Yeah. Even superheroes need to pass their algebra final. Yeah. Oh. I just heard delving into the dark in this case was beneficial to the overall goal. That it can be left behind, but it's like this Queen of Pentacles is very adept at seeing dark things. And can celebrate the accomplishment of learning that. Like, I want to say because this Queen of Pentacles isn't a dark thing. It's like taking an angel and having them trek into the underworld. And then come out the other side to celebrate what they've learned and the light they seeded there. And it's like this emperor falling in love while watching this. Yeah, something like that here. And then Nine of Cups is wish fulfillment. And then it's like both flowing with whatever they learned about the situation through observation, through spiritual guidance, through looking at the past, through really looking at that trickster energy, a leap of faith, double standard. Oh yeah, see, both things are true. Interesting. It's like so much fruit came from this darkness that was traversed. And it was a revisiting of It's exactly what I said. I love when that happens, but also I'm like, oh, I was hoping for more information. Um, yeah, visiting of the past to make a new decision about it and then ending up back into the flow state. Okay, so there was some visiting of the past through whatever means, right? And this was a spiritually guided journey. And maybe there was a story you told yourself about why you were doing it, but it ended up that something about like you revealed a double standard within yourself in some way. I want to clarify the double standard. That you were doing it all for love. Oh, that love was the only valid thing. Oh, this is like my journey in a way. Right? Because remember in the recent readings I did where I came to that, or the recent talks I did where I came to the realization of needing to be present with the feeling of being unlovable, and that set me free. Yeah, this is this. That's what this is. Okay. So if you resonated with that story, with that energy, this may be your story as well. Or maybe in the future. And it's like what you did was all for love. What's the double standard? That to be so loving would mean that you'd love the unlovable too. It was a double standard to think everything had to be in love. So you revisited some things, and in studying them, right? And actually you couldn't get out of it either. I feel like it was like you were entrapped in this situation, both the person who was going through it and the person who was watching it. And pushed both people to learn something very important and pushed both people to be able to step into the flow. And so this may be the trickster and the tricked. The trickster and the tricked. I've got to put my air conditioner on. Hold on a sec. Okay, so whether you're the trickster or the tricked, it's saying make each day count. And that's because through revisiting this situation and deciding something new about it, right? Retrograde means a chance to look at an old thing in a new way. So whatever you were visiting, like the underworld kind of stuff that this Queen of Pentacles went through, and this Emperor witnessed, it was like old stuff, right? It was stuff from the past, and it may even have been stemming from past lives. So it was re-looked at in this life with these eyes through spiritual guidance, and a new conclusion was made about it. And I think part of that is like coming to the victory of realizing like that it would be a double standard to say I am love, and to not love even the unlovable. Right? It's like, okay, so what if this Queen of Pentacles trekked through the underworld to try to like save her knight. Save her knight. We have this Knight of Swords here. So the princess goes into the underworld to save her knight in shining armor. And then says that she's doing this out of love. Says that she just wants to show this knight the way, bring him to the light, right? And ends up finding out that there's nothing here for her to do except for accept this knight's darkness. That it isn't a rescue mission. that it's a rescue mission of her own self, in that the double standard she held, like the wanting to, claiming she loved someone and wanting them to be different, is a double standard. And she could never be in her flow state without understanding that. And for a long time, I think, like, this is saying make each day count. And so I think that there were a lot of days where it wasn't realized, right? That there was confusion, that this was a cloudy place to be, right? The underworld, dark magic can be as simple as wanting someone to change who they are, and wanting it with all your heart. It's like, is that really hard? No, not so much. Because the heart just accepts, the heart just flows, the heart just is. The heart isn't trying to coerce or manipulate change or entice, wish for. The heart doesn't wish for, and this is the wish fulfillment card here. But see how the strength is in reverse. It's like, stop trying to do something here. Because look, this knight is running away. Yeah, it's like, stop trying to do something here. Come into balance in your own masculine and feminine. Understand that things are as they are. That it's not for you to dictate or change another person. And that just being in your flow state, surrendering this need to, like, stronghold or manage or rescue or, whatever. Surrendering all power struggles, right, in this situation, which may have been hidden in this illusion of, like, I need to save this person so that they can see the light and feel loved. When really, like, some just, like, surrender needed to be here. Surrender, acceptance, and yeah, like, if I were to apply this to my own life, I would say, yeah, there was definitely someone that I thought would meet me in this spiritual journey, and then when I came in contact with them, they did not. And I was, like, devastated and really, like, almost lost my faith, because I expected it to go one way and it didn't go that way. And then, like, here's where I was brought to this, like, checking myself with, oh, I have expectations. Oh, I'm attached to an outcome. And realizing, like, okay, well, what in me was wanting that and needing that to be that way, and, like, working through my own shadows to release myself from those beliefs and those strongholds, right? So in actuality, this spiritual, like, soulmate of mine was in my life in this 3D to show me that I was still holding on to this, like, false idea of what love is, right? And being love, I just am. I don't have to rescue. That's that drama triangle, right? The victim, savior, and persecutor. And I think that at some points, in the beginning for sure, and at some points even later, when it was too painful for me to see my own contribution to the situation, and when I was too, like, much wanting to project my pain onto the other, that's what I did. And I persecuted, like, in my mind, like, oh, this person just didn't follow the plan, or this person didn't do what God wanted. And it wasn't like that at all. It was that God and this person held a beautiful, strong space for me to check my own self. And for me personally, I'll always be grateful for that. So there's something like that here. There may be some sort of similar scenario or energy, apply it to how it fits to you. It won't be the same exact as my situation, but it definitely seems like if there was a soulmate situation where you were expecting someone to be different, they may have been watching you as well, and they may have gotten their own lessons out of it. Can I ask about that? Let's see. What did this Emperor get out of... Well, they fell in love. Maybe with themselves. What did this, maybe they knew themselves as lovable when you loved them. Or learned to love them unconditionally, right? What did this Emperor get out of this situation? New passion. Relit their fire. Relit their fire. Their want to make each day count. They were able to look at their past hurts and then realize that there was still reason to go forward. Anything else? Maybe put them in a position to take a leap of faith. Like, I think this Queen of Pentacles also had to take a leap of faith. Right? For me, it was like, well, I can't trust this situation because it's confusing and cloudy, and I don't see it clearly, obviously. And the way I see it changes from day to day. So I have to take my leap of faith. I have to trust that God has my back, that I am being shown something, and I'm going to have to go with what feels right to me right now, you know, and get into that flow state to lead myself, I guess, away from this situation in a way, just so I could see it more clearly. I think this Emperor also learned discernment. Maybe if they were someone who was reactive, like someone who was like, what's the word I'm looking for? Recklessly, like, not exactly that word. Who would make quick choices. Spontaneous? No. There's some word. I can't find it. This Emperor became much more discerning, knowing that there was something that they didn't always see, that there was the feminine essence that actually was part of the bigger picture. I think it actually helped them become the Emperor. Yeah. Yep. So at this stage, this Queen of Pentacles is much more stable than she was in the beginning of this, because she might have been strong in her feminine energy before, but now she's also strong in her masculine energy, which she probably had to own, you know, or like reclaim through the process of this. It was a lot of work. And it couldn't have been done just by her feminine side. Her masculine side had to take action in this. So if it's you and you're a man, and I'm talking about masculine and feminine, like, just know, like, masculine and feminine energy is in both of us, in all of us. I feel like I may have left loose ends in this reading just because I related to it in a way, and I may have, like, not been able to fill in all the blanks because I related to it so much that maybe I wasn't able to paint the picture full, but I kind of feel like that's okay in this reading for some reason, because the moon is here, and both these parties, like what I just heard is the rest is still unwritten. Yeah, it's like, we can't tell you more than this, but what we can tell you is you've been in a situation that really humbled you and another person, and you've been spiritually guided, and it was a trek into the underworld, and it was very beneficial to you, and it set you free and put you in a position, and another party in a position, to now step into the flow state and make each day count, and have much gratitude for the fact that you are held, that there is a reason to be faithful, and also an ability to celebrate how far you've come. Like, I would think that this is a higher level spiritual experience. Because let's say if you weren't spiritually aware, you wouldn't even know that this was happening in your life. You might just like look at another person, not be able to get them out of your head and think about them from the past and think that you just love them. And maybe you would go towards them in that way, but you might get rejected. And you might never know that there was like a bigger picture view to this. So this is something that happens for people who do have a spiritual view. Like a test of faith in a way. It's like, oh, you're faithful. Okay, let's put you on this path down to the underworld. Let's see if you're still faithful when you're walking through the 7 gates of hell. In a way, it's also sort of like Isis and Osiris's story, right? Because Isis had to go collect the parts of Osiris, and there's at least one version of that where, you know, she finds those pieces at the gates of hell, at each of the gates of hell. And this process feels like a more fuller integration of parts of being human. And when I say a more fuller integration, I mean like integration where it's like encompassing and embodying both sides, the darkness and the light. Not pushing against some of the more darker aspects of being human. Like being like this trickster energy, deception, betrayal, illusion. When it comes down to it, all that stuff is sort of innocent, you know? And it's like if this Queen of Pentacles was looking at it and saying, oh, well, I'm better than that, or oh, I'm not going to deal with that stuff, and looking down upon it, right? Like saying, oh, that person deals with that kind of stuff, I'm all set. And like looking down on, when actually this was God's way of saying, hey, you're not better than those people. And you'll feel better when you know that. Yeah. Right? Because like to say that you're better than those people would be to say that you're the earlier version of yourself who dabbled in those things too was unworthy or bad or wrong. And really, if you've taken your own shadow work seriously, you've developed the ability to have compassion for yourself and others who may still be in that energy. So any place where you're still judging or projecting is a place where you still have room for healing or understanding and applying, or the natural result of that is compassion. And in compassion, there's no like looking down on others or judging others. It's just this I'm learning this, you're learning that kind of stuff. It's just like matter of fact. I want to say equality. I recently heard a spiritual teacher talk about that equality doesn't exist, and he was saying that it was because what I can offer somebody in my specialty differs from what another person can offer in that specialty, and so we can't be equal. And I just think like he missed the point of what equality means, and it's that just we all have something to offer. Like, of course, if you hire me to do your electrical work on your home, I'm not going to be as good at it as an electrician. So maybe I'm not equal in that skill, but it doesn't mean I'm not an equal person. You know what I mean? Like, it's like that's the whole point of equality. It's like knowing that we all have something valuable. And I think that this spiritual teacher knows that. I just think that he, for whatever reason, was seeing through a lens at that moment. But I thought it was interesting. So, yeah, I do believe in equality, and I believe in equality just in the way that, like, yeah, we all have something to offer, and maybe it's not as valuable to every person as the other, but it will be valuable to someone or other, you know? It's like rearranging the puzzle pieces to go where they fit. And that happens when we own our value. Alright, this was a difficult one for me, to be honest, and I feel like really choppy saying it, and I kind of feel like I'm leaving it like hanging in a way, but like I said before, I'm pretty sure I've got to, because the rest is still unwritten with this. But that's where this is. It's like, look, you're in a high-level, spiritually guided experience here, and it's led you to a beautiful place of surrendering, being okay with the unknown, and flowing through to the next part, which is unwritten, which will depend on your ability to stay in the flow. Cool. And of course, gratitude is going to be helpful along that way, right? Gratitude keeps it flowing. All right, I'm going to stop babbling on and reiterating everything about this. Remember, it's just information to reflect on. Take what's useful to you and leave the rest.